LA Mayor Karen Bass blasting an LA Times article as misinformation.
Mayor Bass refuting claims that she watered down the Palisades Fire Action Report to protect the city from legal liabilities.
It's frustrating when people deliberately put out misinformation, such as what was in the article.
Well, the LA Times first reported in December that the official LAFD report into the city's planning and response to the Palisades fire was altered. In its new reporting, the LA Times says the most significant changes centered on LAFD's failure to have the right staff in place and its botched pre-deployment of engines. Well, the LA Times cites unnamed sources that claim Mayor Bass watered down the report to protect the city against legal liability.
I was disappointed in the LA Times that they would report a story where it's a source of a source of a source. I mean, what is that?
Well, the LA Times cited those sources who received information from two people close to Mayor Bass and passed it to the paper. We are joined live by LA Times investigative reporter Aline Chekmejian, who wrote this LA Times report. Thank you so much for joining us this morning to talk about it. Obviously a huge topic, and Mayor Bass responding to it yesterday.
Yeah, thank you for the interest.
So after hearing Mayor Bass call your report misinformation, as you just heard there, and questioning your sources, what do you have to say?
You know, we had asked her earlier this week before we published the story to respond to our findings, and we didn't hear back until we published the story online yesterday. And that's when we got the statement in which she called our reporting irresponsible. But, you know, it's worth noting that we've been reporting on the LAFD's missteps and failures in preparing for and responding to the fire for more than a year now. And that reporting has been, you know, repeatedly cited in reforms made to the department. We are the ones that first exposed the lack of pre-deployment and the failure to hold over the outgoing shift of firefighters before the extreme weather last year and before the fire. And the fire department implemented mandatory staffing protocols in response to, you know, the reporting that we did. The mayor also has cited our reporting in the past when she removed the fire chief from her position last year.
Right. And the last time we spoke with someone from the LA Times about these findings, it seemed there was kind of a dead end. It didn't seem that the current fire chief was interested in looking into what happened. We weren't hearing anything from Ronnie Villanueva, who was fire chief at the time that the report was issued. Were you surprised to have these two sources, who I believe you described as people close to Bass's office, come forward and also say that they would be willing to testify under oath with this information?
That's right. You know, they did say that, and the fire chief said that he was not going to look into it. He didn't feel like there was a need to do so. He wanted to move forward. And I think that a lot of people in the Palisades, people who lost their homes, they want answers. And so we're committed to getting them, and that's why we continue to dig.
Can you talk about some of the allegations your sources laid out to you?
Sure. So since we reported on the changes to the after action report, we have been trying to figure out who ordered them. And so, you know, our sources, we reported yesterday that these two people who have knowledge of the mayor's office and who spoke with two of the mayor's confidants said that the mayor reviewed an early draft of the report, and she was concerned about it, that it would expose the city to legal liabilities. We reported that Bass wanted some of the top findings removed or softened, and we looked at the draft, and, you know, we analyzed different versions of them, and that's what ended up happening. One of our sources even said that the mayor was told that changing the report would be a bad idea because it could hurt her politically. Some things are still unclear. It's unclear if she made line by line edits or she just kind of gave instructions and directions that led to the edits.
Interesting. Okay, of course, since these two sources want to remain anonymous, then it's people trying to decide between believing two people who they're not sure of who they are, and then Mayor Bass, who is saying absolutely she did not do this. Tell us the process you have for vetting a source like this, and how are you sure that it isn't someone who just does want to make Mayor Bass look bad politically?
You know, without going into too much detail, we vetted our sources. We went through the information with our editors, and we're confident in the information that they provided to us. And, you know, like you mentioned earlier, one of our sources actually said that both of the mayor's confidants said that they're prepared to testify under oath. And I think that's very significant.
What about people who say maybe this is just a vendetta against the mayor?
You know, again, we stand by the reporting that we we report it, and we'll continue to dig into it and see what else we can find out.
What else do you expect to happen from here? I know that this was probably unexpected.
You know, there's been some interesting developments. We heard yesterday that the former mayoral candidate from last time is reconsidering entering the race because of our reporting, and so will be interesting to see what happens ahead of the deadline to file this weekend.
Well, we appreciate you being here this morning to discuss all of this and go through your reporting, and I'm sure we're going to want to have you back with a teaser like that of other information you're looking into. So thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course.